Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Regenerative Business Podcast. And I have a special guest on today that I just had to stop the recording and restart because I was like, shit, I am totally going to mispronounce her name, even though I know her very well. Just in my head, pronounce it wrong. So today we have Andrea Tessier, Master Life Coach and IFS practitioner who works with visionary leaders, coaches, and healers who are passionate about creating a ripple effect in the world, but often find themselves stuck in patterns that hold them back from embodying their potential. And Andrea is such a parts work, IF internal family systems master. And it's been fun because we've worked together in the past and she's very familiar with the whole regenerative business ecosystem. And one of the things that I teach in a few of my courses, specifically Copywriting Alchemy, is the idea of writing to the empowered version of your client and the empowered parts of your clients. And as I kept working with Andrea's business and like in conversations with her, I was like, oh shit, this is parts work. And I didn't even know. So today we have such what's going to be, I think, a really incredibly practical, useful, enlivening, empowering conversation that you'll be able to directly use both within yourself with parts work, but also with your copywriting and your marketing with parts work. And how do we actually apply this to your business and marketing? So thank you so much for coming on here, Andrea.
Yeah, I am so excited to be here, Sam, and to talk about parts work, which is my favorite, and to talk about it through the lens of copywriting and marketing is just really fun. It's a fun way to play with this modality that I'm like absolutely obsessed with.
And what's cool is it sounds like no one in the IFS community thinks of it this way or uses it in this way. So it's like fun that we've put together a new thing.
Well, it can be in there as therapists, right?
Yeah.
So it's a powerful healing modality. Like it has revolutionized my life and how I show up in so many ways. And for my clients as well. Like I've helped hundreds of people come to me feeling stuck or in patterns or just not feeling confident and just flipping all of that and being more resilient and empowered. And so in terms of healing, it's incredible and it's evidence-based. And even Gabby Bernstein talks about it and Glennon Doyle talks about it. Like Elizabeth Gilbert talks about it. Dang, and it freaking works. And to be able to use it not just as a healing modality, but as a life modality, as a business modality is really incredible. And I love being able to talk about it in this way too.
Well, we talk a lot about business and marketing as just being in relationship with other humans. So like it makes sense that it applies. I'm assuming you use parts work for if I'm imagining if I came to you as a client and I was having issues with my husband, you would come at it from a parts identity of like your own parts and his own parts. And so if marketing is just relationships and communication, then of course it applies, right?
First, yes.
Wait, so tell us what parts work is and what internal family systems is. Are they the same? Are they different? I don't actually know.
Yeah, parts work is what we call it. IFS or Internal Family Systems is like the more professional name. It was founded by Dick Schwartz back in the 80s. And really, it's just this transformative approach to understanding your inner world. Right? It's based on the idea that we have different parts. And because that's how people talk about themselves.
Yeah.
Part of me wants to do this launch, and part of me is terrified, right? Part of me wants to go to the partying, and part of me wants to stay home. It's called parts work because that's literally how we talk about ourselves. And a lot of people are familiar with the inner critic, the perfectionist, the people pleaser. But there's also this core self and like S self or self energy that we call it. And it's the calm, wise, compassionate essence that everybody has that is always there, regardless of what parts are up. And IFS helps you build relationships with all of your parts, not to get rid of them, but to understand how they built this protective system inside. And so the goal isn't about fixing, it's really about creating a harmonious inside. And then we can do that, of course, impacts our relationships.
And are we born with parts or is it like a trauma response kind of thing?
we're born with them.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And they also develop and get reinforced throughout childhood, right? So everybody has them. They're in neural pathways. They're there, but depending on what's going on in our life, it's like, which ones are we reinforcing and why, right? So they might come online and are reinforced by helping us survive big T or little T trauma, or protecting us from harm or discomfort, or motivating us to do our best, or bringing pleasure or relief, or they might come to distract us from painful feelings or emotions, but they also might come online to light a fire on under our ass to do the thing. And so, yes, born, but like also get reinforced through the patterns and stories and narrative of like our life.
And in the example you said earlier of, oh, a part of me wants to do the launch and a part of me doesn't want to do the launch, the parts work is really about getting those two parts to talk to one another or being the mediator of those things.
Yeah, exactly. So it's from self energy, from that calm, wise, curious, compassionate part, not like aligning and saying this part is correct and this part is wrong, which a lot of us do. We side with the quote unquote good parts and not the quote unquote bad parts. But it's about coming from that essence of us. And that's where someone like me can come in and make sure that you can stay in that state enough to understand each of those parts and where they're coming from. What is the desire of doing the launch? What's the fear of not? And really attacking that, because underneath both of those protectors is often like a really tender, exiled, wounded part, which we might call a wounded child or an exile that has just been like behind the scenes, feeling shame, hurt, pain for ages. And the system's just done a beautiful job of protecting. And until we go and do the work to unburden the exile or create a better balance between the system, that's the dynamic that's going to continue to play out. And so to come back to your original question, it's, help understanding both of the sides that want or don't want to do the launch, getting to the deeper why beneath them so that they really feel like you're available. They really feel like you understand. They really feel like you're aware. And not from I already know my trauma. I get it. But like to actually be witnessed. Somebody like really sees you and gets it and you feel that. Like we get to do that in first work. So the parts of us feel that way. And that's what's really cool is they kind of simmer down. They're able to relax. And
So how does this fit into like shadow work and stuff? Because I feel like that sounds like there's some like overlappy things happening.
they're two different traditions. They're different
Okay.
words. But that's how we get,
Okay.
right? Different words for doing a similar kind of healing work.
So like certain parts of yourself would be like in the shadow and you're just, or like in exile, like you said, and it's a different way of almost like being able to communicate with them.
Exactly. So anytime I'm prompted to do shadow work, like I do it this way. Like it makes sense to me.
You know, it's funny. When I first got into shadow work, I think it was like 2014, and it was like it was like such a fruitful experience, but it was like so painful. And like, it felt like it was such an emotionally tumultuous experience. And like, then I found like existential kink later and like all these other things, but it sounds like this is probably a much more pleasant experience.
Well, and yeah, it can be because like the come from, like when we can do it from an IFS perspective is we're coming from this essence of self energy, which like when we're in that state, and you've probably experienced this, it's like perhaps when you're in nature or when you're in a flow state or when you're in like deep conversation with a friend and you're just so compassionate and so connected, or maybe through meditative states, you would have experienced it, but some telltale signs that you're like really in that level of self energy is you feel calm, you feel curious, you feel connected.
So
And
with the parts versus self energy, you like touched that parts could be like different neural pathways. So can you tell them more about like the difference between those two things?
which two things?
The self energy versus parts.
Man, so self energy isn't a part. It's like
Uh-huh.
sun behind the clouds.
Mm.
This essence of you that is always there and you always have access to. You might call it your higher self, or like when you have these moments of, oh, I just feel like myself. Right.
Mhm.
Feel like me. It's like when the parts relax,
Mm.
it almost like erupts naturally and spontaneously. And
Mm.
you might aware that there's part. Like I've gone into launches and self energy and doubts come up, and I'm like, oh, cute. Like you can be here. I feel like we're still doing it. Like I've got it. And so
Mm.
self energy really has this, doesn't have an agenda, but it has this, I've got this, I can handle this energy.
Mhm.
And that's where life gets really juicy. That's where we get to create really meaningful, conscious relationships. This is where we get to do business from really aligned places. This is where we get to show up for clients like really focused and present. And it's like this natural healing force. And it's not to say that no parts are bad. That's like a number one rule in internal family systems. No parts are bad. They're so valuable. But self energy can like call on the parts and be like, oh, this would be really useful right now. It'd be really useful to have an activist in the corner. It'd be really useful to bring in some inner child energy right now. It'd be really useful, actually. The perfectionists can really help me out with my sales page. Can bring them in as needed without having them drive the bus.
Okay. Yeah, totally. I'm looping this back into the copywriting stuff because when I explained how I explained it, I want to go a little deeper and then I want to hear your perception of it as someone who knows all the parts. When I think of the way that it first came to me was when copywriting, a lot of people, I think the underlying problem is a lot of people, I mean, there's a few things. A lot of people will talk to who is either around them. Let's say you're a business owner, you have an offer for a course, and there's a certain kind of person who's around you asking you questions, but it's not necessarily who you want to be working with. But they're around you, they're in front of you, so that's who you're talking to. Basic example is you want to be um, if I for my marketing agency, there's like tons and tons of brand new businesses around me who want me to teach them marketing from level 0 and they have not even don't even have offers. Those are the people around me when really my genius is scaling up from 6 figures and 7 figures, but there's way less of those people around me. The step one is I need to make sure I'm talking to the right person at all. Like I need to make sure I'm talking to the right person, period, in my copywriting. And then the level beyond that is really the parts work piece, which is what I'm now perceiving as a parts work thing of like, when I'm writing my copy, am I saying you come on Instagram and you are so fucking pissed off because you hate social media so fucking much and you just want to burn it to the ground and you might want to leave your business today? If I was saying that versus if I'm saying you have a big vision, you have a big vision of the future and you want to fucking start a revolution and you're so excited to help thousands of people and you can see your next 10 years and they're so exciting. Those could be the exact same person on different days, on different times of the day. But it's what part of them are you calling forward and attracting them in? What is the energy that you're like meeting them at? So that's kind of it. But it's I'm really curious with all, because it sounds like with parts work, there's like these classic parts that most people have. So I'm curious, is it like, am I just talking to the self? Am I just trying to talk to the self energy when I'm copywriting? Or are there like, I'm like, in my mind, I'm imagining like making a new kind of ideal client avatar worksheet that like has all the parts and okay, identify this part of the person and this part of the person. Okay, I'll stop talking.
That's so cute. I love it. We have an infinite number of parts, right? And I think the best way, and I always say this to my clients, like the best way to understand other people's parts is to like deeply understand your own. I'm so good at this. And I say that with confidence because I have been doing this work for so long on myself. Like I can track my system and map my system. And I know that there are like hundreds of parts in there that I have met. And so it is very easy for me to see them and track them in other people.
Mm-hmm.
The more familiar you get with your parts, and yeah, you probably are aware of the more familiar ones or the more familiar kind of like polarities that happen in there, like the one that wants to do it and the one that doesn't want to do it. But the more you're aware of yours, the more you'll become aware of the parts of people, other people. They're like archetypes where its parts are the same. They show up in everybody else, even though you think you're the only one, you're not.
Mhm.
And they just have different stories attached to them. They have different wounds. They have different manifestations, but the part is the same. The activist, everyone has an activist. I don't know how big it is in people's systems. Some people it's bigger, and some people it takes up less space. Everybody has a visionary. Everybody has a wounded inner child. Everybody has a playful inner child. Everybody has an inner critic in some shape or form, a perfectionist in some shape or form, whether it takes up a lot of space or none at all. Everybody has a striver or an overachiever. Everybody has a people pleaser. Everybody has firefighter parts that want to burn shit down or just numb out and watch Netflix all weekend. There's rebels and caretakers and free spirits and observers. We all have those parts. And the more you know you, the more you'll be able to see it in your audience and in your people. And so I think knowing that is really cool because everybody has those parts. That means your ideal clients do too. And how that matters for marketing is because we can speak to the way that we speak to our clients' parts matters, like you're saying. Do we want to speak to these like angry, disempowered parts that might create some kind of action, right? Speaking to self-doubt parts that might create action from them? Or do we want to speak to more empowered parts in our clients? Or do we want to speak to self energy? I think there's a lot to say of speaking from self to self, our highest to their highest self, and reinforcing that. Personally, it excites me just from a consciousness perspective. Like, 'cause that's what we're trying to do here as a collective is all just awaken. But also from marketing, like we can be speaking to that, but we can also speak to the visionary. We can speak to the activist. We can speak to those parts. And I mean, I was thinking about this morning, like marketing has always used psychology without integrity often, right? To make people feel like they're broken or unworthy or in need of fixing, right? And the message has always been something's wrong with you, and it's been shame-based, and like you have to fix it now.
Yeah.
Right? They've been speaking to more disempowered or exiled parts or like manager parts that feel like something's wrong with me. I have to fix this. And I think that's why it's felt so icky.
Yeah.
I think like conscious business owners, and I've struggled with this too, like really having the ick around marketing and resisting it because I didn't realize there was another way, of course, until I met you and communities like that. But I think as conscious leaders, we actually have the power to shift that. And instead of using psychology to manipulate, we can use it to empower.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. We can call out the best in our people. And our most aligned clients are people whose nervous systems are going to resonate with our self energy.
Yeah.
The more that we can be in self energy, speaking to their highest self, I think that's where our marketing really gets to be of service. And even if they don't decide to buy and work with us, it's still an act of empowerment that's going out into the world. Who doesn't benefit from that? That's how I see it. So I think it's smart to recognize that, yes, they have disempowered parts that we might name or speak to acknowledge, hey, I get that this exists. And
Yeah.
I see you. I see the powerful one. I see the sun behind the clouds. Like I see the one that's courageous because everybody has that essence.
I feel like if you've ever struggled with clients who don't respect you and clients who like, I don't know, like everyone's had quote unquote problem clients where it's just like, it hasn't been, it's nothing wrong with them. It's just like the situation is just like not ideal. And I think this whole process can be really empowering for you in the sense that when you as in self energy or in empowered part energy is speaking to them in self energy or empowered part energy, like that's the point in which they're meeting you or the point in which they're deciding to join you. So like I'm imagining they'll start associating you with this. Oh, I meet them when I'm in an empowered state, and there's so much more problem solving. There's so much more like how they can show up in a container, how they can show up to the work.
Yeah, exactly.
And you said you were editing a landing page with as like a second time through with this. Yeah.
I was like, okay. And this is something that I would actually recommend that your listeners do now. If there's something, a piece of that you're working on, or if there's something that you've recently created, go back and see which parts of your people are you speaking to? And are there things that you might shift from speaking to perhaps like a doubting part or a part that's scared? I'm like, how could you switch that? And so I was playing with that this morning and I was like, oh, so interesting. I'm teaching a course, a live activation in a couple weeks time, and the landing page is going live. Like I just launched it today and I was like, go see and just look at mine. And sure enough, there were like little places in there where I was like, oh, I can see who I'm speaking to here. And what if I spoke to their activist instead?
Yeah.
What if I spoke to their self energy instead? What if I really spoke to the most empowered, like full FPS embodied part of them? And what would this sound like? It changed things. It was really fascinating.
I love that so much. Yeah, that's something when I do the copy coaching, it's one of the most common ones is I'll make a comment on one line being like, is this who you really want to talk to? Is this who you really want to talk to? And it's like a natural default almost of if these are the kind of people around you, or if this is what you feel like you're struggling with, it's like the first thing that'll come out. And that's the power of the editing process.
You're not doing enough, right? Do you ever feel like you're not enough? You're speaking to their overachiever, right?
Yeah.
You're not feeling successful. You need to invest in yourself now. Okay. Now you're speaking to a fear-driven manager.
Yeah.
Later. Even like scarcity marketing, this is your last chance. Like scarcity part, that's oh my God. And of course they might work in some phases and ways, but they can trigger urgency, but they also reinforce disempowerment. And so when we speak to like more playful parts and more fun-loving and more empowered parts, like we're not seeing things like, oh, you won't feel confident in your business till you do X, Y, Z. It's you already have the wisdom inside of you. And just access it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, but it's just encouraging that peaceful power in everybody.
It's interesting. I was listening to a video on client buyer types the other week, and I'm trying to remember what the third one was, but one was like the intuitive buyer type, the other one was the reactive buyer type, and there was a third one that I'm not going to remember right now. But the reactive buyer type, they respond really like with the urgency of like prices increasing, like things are going up, and I'm a girl who loves a sale. So I'm like, that'll always be a part of my marketing because I'm just like, I think sales are fun, like all the things. But it's interesting to think of when they were like describing like reactive buyer type versus intuitive buyer type. Like the thing with that was intuitive buyer will never respond to the reactive marketing because it's always on the timing. It doesn't matter what the price is. It matters that the timing is right for them on their end versus reactive. It's the time is now. Oh, you're dictating the timing. And I'm like, now I'm like, oh, is there some sort of like parse work thing that's into this?
And that I actually resonate with both of those parts. Like depending on the day, I've done both. I've made decisions in both of those places. And so I think that's good to know. That our people also will respond differently on different days, depending what parts they're blended with, like which parts are up, which parts are alive in their system. But I think what's like really most important is we get to embody what we want to call forward in other people.
Yeah.
Your system sets the tone for how people are going to receive it.
Okay, so what's your practice for everyone listening to be able to tune into their self-energy?
Oh my God, okay, it's so good. So I really double down on my energy work. You're welcome. Hold on. Thank you, Sam Garcia. At the moment, I have a pretty strong morning practice. I'm doing a Vipassana meditation for an hour. I'm doing a devotional practice for a good 15 minutes. Before I leave my bedroom. And that's a huge piece of just like setting the baseline for how I want to show up. And that's been amazing. But self energy is like really cultivated in small moments of checking in. So it's like regularly checking in with my system to see who is up and who needs my attention.
Mm-hmm.
These are moments of pause throughout the day. And sometimes I notice if I'm feeling more distracted, if I'm feeling a sense of urgency, if I'm rushing around and there's like that angsty energy in me, it will be like a hand on the heart, closing my eyes down, taking my attention inward and being like, okay, who in me needs my attention right now?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a moment of, oh, okay, there's a part here that's feeling anxious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's a part here that's like holding a lot. Oh, part here that's still feeling sad about the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Those small, subtle moments of being like, okay, I accept that you're here and I acknowledge that you're here. And that can really be enough to settle things down and bring me back into self energy. That's super powerful. Another really beautiful practice to get into self energy is like grounding yourself, taking a few deep breaths in. I've been playing with taking breath in through the heart, breathing in and out through my heart space. There's something about the frequency that it just like unlocks and drops me immediately into self energy. And
We all
another,
do that together right now. Do you want to lead this?
like, yeah. This is a really juicy one. Okay, so closing your eyes down if that feels okay. This has been really heavy, so intellectual parts and analyzer parts might be up. So just naming that. I do a lot of just naming parts that are up to help externalize them. And then just bringing your focus to your heart. And a way to do that might be to like put a hand there or even put 2 fingers at your heart space to just draw attention there. And that might just help you become aware of sensation. You might become aware of your heartbeat, tingling, just noticing kind of the energy here. And then we'll shift the breath to lengthen out the exhale. So it's like could be a count in for 4 and an exhale for 6. And then see if you could breathe in through the front of your heart and breathe out through the back. And then you'll invite in the feeling of confidence. And just notice how that feels in your body. Feeling it confidence expand through you. Noticing where you feel that. And seeing if you can breathe that through your limbs, your fingers and toes, maybe into the space around you. And just taking another moment here with this. And then taking an exhale, letting that fall out the mouth. And you can come back to your space. Do you feel it?
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
So good. Now, everyone go write your sales page.
Who is leading right now before writing any content? Is who in me is leading right now? Am I leading from self or am I leading from this part that's just trying to get shit done? Leading right now. This part that's, oh my God, I better get this right or my launch is going to flop. He's like self energy who is calm and clear and confident and knows that whatever will be will happen. Mhm. It's that energy that's going to allow your people to feel like they can trust you, right? People need to feel safe to move forward, and self energy is what provides that. And so, number one, your nervous system is going to set the tone for how people receive you. And the more you can embody that yourself, the more your people will feel it. And that's what makes work magnetic.
I wish I could remember the exact things, but I remember hearing a study around on our brains, and people with a specific kind of brain waves will actually set the tone for, it's like almost the loudest brain waves will set the tone for the other people around them. I wish I could remember. I'll have to look this up. I'll put it in an email or something, but that's what it is reminding me of. And like, how do we actually transmit that through our writing? And it seems like a lot easier in a video form or even an audio form, but I believe it's totally transmittable through writing.
Course. Of course it is. And that's what makes this work like so exciting. And being in communities like this is the revolution. This is the awakening. And the more that we can be in that, and whether we get to work with people or not, we can transform their experience just through our words and the way we speak to them, right? And knowing your own system of parts so that you can see the parts of others and being a stand for their highest is a really big way how we can be contributing.
So I know you have a lot of like videos and articles. Is there a place that you'd point people to learn more about this?
Oh my gosh, yes, come join me on YouTube. This is my brand new baby.
No.
I just started a YouTube channel last month, everybody, but I have been in creation mode, and I've got like a really good base of really comprehensive videos that break down like parts work and how it works, how all of the parts fit together, but also some really great practices to help you drop in and meet your parts, connect with self energy. And so IFS and Inner Work with Andrea on YouTube. And so you can definitely go there to dive in. And yeah, I would say that's probably the best place to go right now. Definitely on Instagram. It's a great place to connect as well. And I do have a mini activation that I can share with your people. It's called Liberated Leadership.
Oh, I love that.
A activation really to help you drop into self energy in your leadership, whether you're leading as a solopreneur, whether you're leading an organization, whether you're leading a classroom or a family. It's a really beautiful place for you to learn how to tap into your own embodied, liberated leadership, not from forcing or hustle or managing, but you. Yeah, we can share that with everybody.
Yeah, I can put that in the show notes. And you're also, I know later in the year, you're doing IFS for coaches. So I think that's a really great one.
Yeah, thank you for holding me to that. No, it's definitely happening. At Q3, probably. Like I can feel it on the horizon. I'll be helping coaches actually leverage IFS in their coaching and in all stages of their business, from marketing to sales to being the empowered decision maker.
And is that IFS within themselves, or is that using IFS with clients?
Oh,
Well,
yeah. And it'll be great.
well, thank you so much for coming on, Andrea. This is such a pleasure. And I'm really just enamored by this whole parts work within copywriting thing right now. And I feel like it's still shaking out around. Now I want to make this new worksheet. But do you have any final messages for those listening?
Yeah, you know what I would say to people, if you want to try this out, go look at your last post or sales page and ask, which parts am I speaking to? Are they fear-based parts, or am I speaking to their highest expression? Rewrite one sentence to act like the self-led version of the other person. And try this and just notice if it feels lighter, more powerful, or more in integrity. Yeah, and I guess my final thought would be like, it's not just about what you're offering, it's about what you're activating in the other person.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Thanks, Andrea.